Hi there! You just watched a clip of custom music and sound effects I created for this first-person shooter template found on the Unity Asset Store. I'm going to walk you through my design process and its subsequent FMOD audio middleware implementation. When starting a new project, the first thing I do, if possible, is record gameplay footage. This gameplay footage will allow me to design my audio to a clear and precise visual aesthetic. First up was music. I reviewed the pace of the gameplay and set the BPM for the project accordingly. Next, I began sifting through my instrument library to find thematically appropriate software instruments. Here is a melody that I started with. I wrote 3 different pieces for 3 different game states, and I wrote a transitional stinger to blend between them. 2 of the game states are more battle in nature, while the other focuses on more calm and exploratory gameplay. Once the writing process was complete, I began mixing and applying effects to the tracks. Here we have my sound design project. I start this section of the design process by selecting roughly a dozen component sounds for each required audio cue. By this point, I've looped the footage enough times to know what types of sounds I'm looking for. This grouping of component sounds culminate into the default pistol shot sound effect. In this clip, I depict the mixing plugins and techniques I employed to each of the base component sounds to create a greater modified sound effect. My approach to sound design is often to select a focal sound effect to be built around. Here's the focal sound I selected for the cannon gun decompression animation. Here's that focal sound again after effects and plugins were applied. Here's the final sound effect after the frequency spectrum was filled out and supporting sounds were introduced. Here's another focal sound effect example. This time, I used a cog rattle for the alert animation the enemy turret boss does when first spotting the player. This is that same cog rattle after effects and plugins were applied. These are a few of the numerous supporting component sounds incorporated in the final sound effect. Now listen to the final sound effect after all the supporting sounds are introduced. I tend to use a great deal of plugins to massage sound effects into the exact aesthetic that I want. Listen to this example of how I can alter a sound with Common Waves plugins to emulate the player recovering health points. The unmodified sound. The modified sound. The complete sound effect. Here's my FMOD project. I started by importing the simple one-shot sounds I created. Dealing with the simple one-shots first allowed me to test FMOD and Unity functionality early. Once I could find where the audio was triggered in the scripts, working FMOD integration was a single line of code away. Listen to these 3 one-shot sounds trigger. This event plays a motor hum for the turret boss and peppers in turret vocalizations. I've set the trigger frequency to 40% and applied pitch and offset randomization. This jetpack event uses a parameter to break out of a looped thruster sound. This is the interactive music system I built. The game spawns you in a non-confrontational state. The music you hear during that state sounds like this. As you acquire new weapons and power-ups, subtle instrumentation is added into the mix. After your first enemy encounter, this panning piano riff is permanently incorporated into the mix to encourage the player to continue driving forward. The green transition bars in the timeline allow the music to switch into different states at any point. A battle stinger is incorporated to smooth out the transitions between different sections. Here's what it sounds like when transitioning into the drone battle theme. After the first 4 bars, the track will introduce new instrumentation and loop. Let's now transition back into the exploratory, non-confrontational music. This transition is gradual and occurs over the course of 3 bars. I've now just transitioned into the highest intensity piece, the boss battle theme. Like in the other battle theme, after the first 4 bars, the track will introduce new instrumentation and loop. This additional parameter exists to filter every track's frequency content based on the percentage of health points the player has left. Here's the music when below 30% health. Here's the music when below 15% health. Finally, this parameter filters out instrumentation of the boss theme when the player completes the level. I hope you enjoyed walking through this process with me. Thanks for watching.